Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of It's Messy, but It's So Good. And today my guest is Susan London. And Susan's a retired educator. She had been a teacher for 33 years, and she now exhibits award-winning dogs at shows nationwide and enjoys spending time with her Pointers and Chinese Cresteds. If you're an animal lover, especially a dog lover, you're going to love this show, this episode. You're going to learn all about what goes into showing dogs. If you've ever watched the dog shows at Westminster and just wondered, how do people do that? How do they get into it? And what does it take? What are the challenges? Today, you're going to learn all about that. So enjoy the show. Welcome, Susan London, to It's Messy, but It's So Good.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, Susan and I go back several years, and I have watched her just be in her passion with her love for nature,
yes,
property, and also all the shows that you do. And I know that you retired after 33 years as an educator, an elementary school teacher, and then you got full force, right, pretty much into shows, showing your Pointers and your Cresteds. I don't know much about, but
yeah.
I wanted to really have you on because, first of all, I just want to say that I've always enjoyed being with you, no matter what.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I feel the feeling is mutual.
And then, I've just been watching, as I said, your passion. And this podcast is really all about people doing things in the world that sometimes are not easy, but they have an innate soul-driven calling to do it. And they manage to get through some of the challenges that happen, as life does, and the lessons, that it brings. So what I'd love it if you can just share a little bit about how you even got into, focusing on showing dogs, and just school us on that, teacher.
Okay, absolutely. And I just want to go back to something you just said about the lessons in life, because certainly I think many people would agree that dogs bring us many lessons into our lives. And that's a big part of owning dogs in any capacity. So I want to start by sharing one of my favorite quotes, about dogs, which is, dogs are not our whole lives, but they make our lives whole. And that really lines up with my passion for showing dogs, because that says it all. They bring a wholeness and a stability and this passion to my life. Yeah. So I always wanted a dog. I did not have a dog growing up, and this was one of my adult goals in life, to have a dog. And I have to start by going back a little bit and honoring my first dog. She was not a show dog. She was a Rottweiler. But the lessons and my passion for this started with her. I was teaching at the time, and we got her. And one of my immediate goals was I wanted her to get certified as a therapy dog, because I felt now I could bring this joy to my classroom and to my students. And at the time, I was teaching in a district that had a lot of immigrant families, a great deal of poverty. And a lot of those children either had no experience with dogs or poor experience with dogs, or even traumatic experiences with dogs. And I wanted to show them another way. And I got the certification with her, and she started coming to school with me. And that was really changing, probably for me, seeing the effect she had on many of these children. Regular ed, special ed. And I did that for 25 years. I brought my dogs over 25 years to school. Of course, she did not live for 25 years, but I had collected other dogs along the way.
Yeah.
And each one became part of that process. And that was really how I got started in this love of being with my dogs and what can we do together and what can we share with others, right? So after I got her, I had been at some training classes and I saw somebody came in with a pointer. And I don't know why I was very drawn to that breed. And immediately I just knew that was really my future. I want this breed. It was a sporting breed. It was athletic. It was also softer tempered and kind-hearted and biddable. And this was it. And that became my goal. Not to show the dog, just this was going to be my breed. And this is a dog I wanted to live with going forward. I did a lot of research. There wasn't really internet at that time. You still had to use magazines. I don't even know the library, right? Imagine, you go to the library and
a card catalog.
Right. I feel like I'm at a library. How do I find a dog? I'm at a library. And I got in touch with some people through the AKC Gazette magazine and started looking for a pointer. And we got one. And through the person I was recommended to get the dog, she showed her pointers. And after I got this adorable little black and white male puppy named Briar, who I was madly in love with, after I got him, I called her to thank her. I didn't get the dog from her, but she sent me in the right direction. And it's always been important to me to show gratitude in life. Whoever sets you on your journey, give gratitude back. So I didn't really know this woman, but I called her to say thank you. And she said, great, I got the brother and we're going to show the dogs together. And I said, no, I'm not. I just got the dog as a pet. He's my pet. I'm going to bring him to school. He's going to be a therapy dog. We're just going to do fun things together. And she said, no, you're going to love this. You're going to show him. And it was the right time in my life. Things line up at the right time for us. The universe just provides, even when we're not looking. Yeah. And I had a lot of space at that time. It was summertime, first of all, so I was off from school. And my husband was very busy with an illness, not his illness, a family illness. And I had a lot of space. So I said, sure, let's give it a go. And that was the beginning. I was very scared. I was very nervous. It was unknown territory to me. And it's interesting because I was so used to in the classroom stepping in front of a large group of people, right? And speaking all day long. That's what teachers do. But yet standing, holding my dog's leash and walking into a show ring scared the pants out of me.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time, so I started to learn how to show him. I took classes, I started to meet people who were very supportive, very encouraging. And I went to my first show and stepped into the ring and presented him, as you see on TV, as handlers present their dogs, And I looked down, my hands were shaking uncontrollably. I was so surprised by that after what I had been doing for years and years, for a living. And we won.
Oh, wow.
And we won that day. And I didn't even know I won. They put me in some spot, handed me something, and I said, why am I standing here? And they said, you won. And I was like, oh, this is fun, right? Winning's fun.
Got a positive reinforcement.
Positive reinforcement, exactly. And from there, I kept doing it. I started to meet amazing people, which is a big, big part of this. You are not showing dogs as an island or alone. It's all about community, and the support and the kindness and the learning process and the friends you meet along the way, right? Anything you get involved in life, that's what it is. It's not a single track. It has many branches like a tree that just go off in so many directions.
And you grow in so many ways,
Well, this is the thing. You grow in so many ways. just that initial part of overcoming my fear. Because on that day, I had a choice to go forward and continue to learn more and experience this and try harder and do it again, or say, whoa, I was really scared in that ring. I'm not doing it. So there was like a challenge there, right?
Yeah.
And do you step forward or do you step back? And I chose to step forward, and I had a lot of support doing that. And it became an entire huge growth for me. My world really, really opened up.
Yeah.
And I got to spend time with one of my favorite beings, my dog. He went everywhere with me. We were doing this together, right? The partnership. That's a whole part of it too. It's you're not alone. You're in a partnership.
Yeah. Two things come to mind. One is, how do you think your relationship changed with your dog from doing this type of work with him or her?
You know, that's a really good question, because they call it the sport of dogs. That's what it's called. And that may not only be confirmation, which is showing your dog. It may be agility. It may be obedience. It may be dock diving. It may be any activity, but it is the sport of dogs because you are a team.
Mm-hmm.
And it is different than just living with your dog in your house. Suddenly you have a goal together. And I always think of it as they are your dance partner. You have to be in complete synchronicity with them in any of these activities for it to work well. And so all of a sudden, it just goes from you have a pet that you enjoy being around to you have a goal to work with this dog. You both have to be, within reason, physically fit, right? You have a responsibility to keep now your dog in a certain condition, a certain way, ready to make this performance. And you are performing with them. So you have to also prepare yourself. You have to prepare yourself mentally. You have to prepare yourself spiritually. You have to bring a certain energy to that performance. And energy is everything. Energy is everything. And you're holding that leash, and that leash is really thin. It's not, a show lead is very light. It's very thin. The slightest movement in it, much like a dressage horse, tells the dog what to do.
Wow.
And you have to learn how to manipulate that and how to use it kindly and fairly, but purposefully.
Right. I love what you were saying about the energy. And of course, we all know the dog whisperer and all that.
Yes, it's a real thing.
Yeah, just even like training your dog, in just kind of with aggression or all different things that you need to do with the dog. And I think, we all kind of, not we all, but a lot of people know it, but it's really hard to remind ourselves to kind of center ourselves first before we move forward, because we know everything is energy, and the dog picks up on you being the leader, but yet being the partner and feeding that energy.
Well, you are the leader. Okay.
Yeah.
And like I said, even in a dance, someone has to lead. But what energy do you bring to that leadership, right? And how do you ground yourself even before the performance? And, how do you prepare the dog spiritually and mentally? That's a big part of it. It's not just, I have a well-conditioned dog and I'm going to go out there and run in a circle and it's going to be great. You have to train that dog to know its job. It is a job. Like any dog that has a job, it's a job, and let's do that job well together. And I feel like for the human, that includes all the things that we should do for ourselves anyway, but eating right, getting enough sleep, being physically fit well enough to bring the right energy from you to the dog.
So what, is there like a certain type of practice or tool that you use? Or is it just kind of just aligning your energy and taking breaths, or maybe doing some yoga before, or,
Yeah.
is it that you use? What tool when
So
you're trying to get
it's interesting.
energetically aligned?
Really good question. And different handlers are going to tell you different things they do. I can only speak for myself, but um, the dog I'm currently showing, Lacey, she's a 3-year-old pointer. I actually work with an energy healer with her. And she works with both of us, where she gives us tools, like you're asking about tools. Okay. She gives us tools. Some of them may be ways of physically touching the dog. We use a lot of stones. Okay. We use the chakras. We use a lot of stones, and it's before we go in the ring. She'll be on the grooming table. I have her stones set out. There are specific stones for Lacey, and there are stones I move over her. We set intentions. We visualize the process before we step into the ring. I see it, and we go through it before that. Sometimes, yes, there's meditation by me before I step out of the hotel room or my camper or wherever I am, just to be in that space. It's really important to be in that space. Showing dogs is a lot of fun, but you're out there because, and if people don't know this, you're exhibiting potential breeding stock. That's what it's about. So every individual breed has a standard, and that standard is conformation, what the dog looks like. The standard is there's a health component, and there's a character component. And of course, you don't see all of that in the ring all the time, but you should have that in mind as a handler when you're showing your dog. And you want all of that to come in to the ring with you. And the judge, who is licensed and hired, is supposed to have studied your standard. And that's what they're judging your dog against, the breed standard. So as fun as it is to show your dog and just be with them and have a great time, you are there for a purpose. You believe your dog is good enough to be worthy of breeding stock to create future generations of great dogs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
Thanks
you're
for
prepared.
sharing that. Yeah.
You're preparing
So,
all of that.
I mean, I kind of picked up on that when you see the judges and they're checking different
Yes.
things, but I didn't know to the extent and, the preparation. So I really appreciate you sharing that and part of the process for any
So
future trainers out there.
right, because I really feel like there's so much respect that goes into it. First of all, when you go out there, you represent your dog, right? Even though you may be the leader, you represent your dog. Beyond that, you represent the breeders that came before you, who created this version of your dog. And then you represent all the history behind that breed, and you represent the sport. AKC has a, code of sportsmanship, how you are supposed to conduct yourself. I mean, you bring all that into the ring with you. Yes.
Right. So in terms of things getting messy.
Yes. And they do.
Yes, the challenges. What
Yes.
kind of challenges have come up that you specifically maybe can even think of how you were able to transmute that or transform into something even greater through the experience?
I really am eager to speak about this part because this happened to me in a very, very big and traumatic way. I was showing dogs for quite some time. I just want to think for a second, 15 plus years. And I had gotten to the point where I had purchased a few dogs and I had shown them and gotten their championships and grand championships. And then I had bred a few litters myself. And I was breeding a 3-year-old female of mine I had bred her. So she was born here. She was a heart dog of mine. And I had a lot of success with her in the show ring, and we bred her and we lost her in a C-section.
Oh.
And that really rocked my world. I suddenly, in a matter of hours, went from complete excitement that our puppies were coming and being born to losing my best friend. I lost my best friend. And I had 7 puppies with no mama. And everything just was upside down for me. Complete devastation. And it was a really dark time. We were lucky. We had a surrogate mom come in, a surrogate Bernese Mountain dog, who stepped in for us through my community of dog people who were so supportive and amazing and couldn't help us enough. And she did a wonderful job of raising my puppies. And that was a really happy ending. However, this was life-changing for me. All of a sudden, this really fun activity that I did with my dogs and this great partnership where we're doing this together, right? It just crumbled. And I was totally unprepared for it and had no idea at that time of how to cope with it. But I got through it. And it's interesting because dark times can bring new light. It may not seem it at the moment, right? And when it feels like everything is lost, there's always glimmers of hope. Always glimmers of hope. And at first, I really wanted to give up this entire passion of mine and hobby. I was done. I asked friends of mine to raise the puppies. Couldn't have anything. I was done with dogs. This was it for me, you know? And I had a lot of good people around me who stepped in and said, nope, we're going to help you through this. You're going to do this. You're going to get through this. And they did. They stuck by my side. They encouraged me to keep not just 1, but 2 puppies from that litter and to go forward and show them, even when my heart was so broken, so broken. The loss was just tremendous, but I kept trying to take baby steps. Even when I didn't believe the baby steps were taking me anywhere.
Yeah.
I didn't, but I had good people. And that just again goes back to community, right? Community supporting you and helping you through the darkest times. And I learned a lot. That was the most challenging time in my life where I learned you can get through the darkness. There's a crack in everything, right? That lets the light get in.
Yeah.
And again, I was working with a few healers at that time. And I remember the dog I lost, her name was Madison. And I remember her saying to me in a session, this was later on, and we were raising the puppies and we were having some success showing them. And she said to me, why can't you just say thank you, Madison? And at the time, my heart was still really broken and I didn't feel like I could, but I never forgot that she said that. And it became part of my practice years later to always say, thank you, Madison.
Oh, yeah.
Because the biggest thing I learned was through this traumatic tragedy was usually joy outweighs the pain. If you give it a chance, if you can just open up a little bit and give it a chance, the joy that's coming will outweigh the pain. And so I continued on. I showed those girls and we had a lot of fun. And that led me to down the line, coming across other dogs that I actually imported dogs from Hungary. And we went to Hungary, traveled there, and we picked her up and we brought her home. And my world got bigger and bigger and bigger from this event.
Wow.
And I met more and more people and I traveled more places and I kept showing. And then I ended up even having some of my own puppies in the UK. And I went there and I showed dogs in the UK. And really interesting how you can heal from something so big and your life get brighter and more beautiful.
Yeah. And now, you can really feel that gratitude for Madison.
Oh, well, right. And like I said, now I say it all the time and say it even when things have nothing to do with her,
Yeah.
right? I will just say, thanks, Maddie. Because
Right.
now I get it. I get it. Somehow her leaving, I do believe it was meant to be. So my world could be bigger and brighter. And
Mm.
that's really the gift she left behind. That's really the gift she left behind.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. You know, it's hard, it's messy,
Yes.
but very profound. And we can always look back and see it during the process of going through it. It's so difficult, and it's the people around us.
It's always the people.
Yeah. And
It's
and
always
and
the
also
people.
connecting, to that light that we know we are. Madison is, it's all
Yes.
around us, but sometimes it's challenging. It's very challenging to get that presence and to have kind of letting go of being open to just seeing things a different way.
Right. Not being stuck in this shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Right. We all get stuck in many things like that in life about what should have or shouldn't have happened to us. But the reality is things happen.
Yeah, they do.
Things happen. And it's really about how we go forward when they happen. And, the grace that we give that and what we allow ourselves, the forgiveness, right?
Mhm.
I blamed myself for a lot of what happened. And that's why I say, like, the lessons dogs bring to our lives, learning forgiveness, learning to be hopeful, learning to, go forward.
Yeah. And it's funny that you're just like really summing that up beautifully, because my next question is, what is the greatest gift that you have received from your passion, which
Mm.
you just expressed? But if you it doesn't have to be one thing, but just something else that you might want to share.
Well, the greatest gift, and I am going to think about that, but of course, I would say it's the dogs themselves. It's not the actual showing. It's not the activities. It's the dogs, because every dog we've had brings another lesson into my life if you're open to it, because they are all unique beings. Even when they are the same breed, we have pointers and we have Chinese cresteds, but they are all their own individual beings. And each one, if you sit quietly enough and you observe them and you listen, because listen, we can hear them. If you listen, they're each going to bring another lesson, because truly, dogs are our mirror image. That's who they really are. They just are mirroring us all the time.
Hmm.
When you think you have a problem with your dog, get very quiet and listen carefully and watch, because you might learn something about yourself that needs to be addressed. They are mirroring us all the time. And that goes back to what we talked about earlier about the energy. Okay. If your dog is not acting or being the way you want, well, what energy are you bringing to that? Or what energy is in your home? Or what energy is surrounding you that the dog might be mirroring from you? And I would say that is what I've learned the most, is to pay close attention to any of my dogs and look at what's going on with them, because I'm really just looking in the mirror.
I love that.
And they can help me be a better person. They
Yeah.
can help me be a better handler. They can help me, just grow. They help you grow.
Like the one thing that I think my dog is trying to teach me
Yes, yes,
is patience.
yeah, yes. Because really, aren't dogs truly innately good at that? They are. They're good at patience. And when they're not, it might be us,
Mm.
right? Or nervousness, right? or anxiety. Okay, that's a big thing with people and their dogs. My dog has anxiety. My dog has anxiety. It needs medication. It needs this. Really? Really? I don't know. And it might really be the dog does, but are you bringing that? Who's mirroring who? Who's mirroring who?
It's funny. It's very similar to having kids where,
Yes.
we have these expectations of our kids. We have
Mm-hmm.
our expectations of our dogs.
Well, we do, right? Right.
And
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was going to say, it's more or less our expectations. If we just allow them, if we allow ourselves to accept and let go, which is not easy, but then it's like everything just gets.
Yes. Yes. A lot of people in my community, they get a show dog. They want a great show dog. Okay. How do you get a great show dog? I do believe a certain amount of dogs are born to show. They are. There's a genetic quality in the dog from generations of this. But that genetic quality might be there. How do you turn it on?
Mm-hmm.
How do you cultivate it? That's on you. That's not on the dog. So it's the energy that you bring. It's not, I want a great show dog and here it is. Okay. It's again, the mirror. You have to be great for your dog to be great.
Yeah, I love that. That's so wise. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I would love to know if you're what you're doing now. Do you have any shows coming up? Is there anything that you want to share with the audience?
I do always have shows coming up. I do because I love it so much. And actually, I would show even more than I do if I didn't have a husband and flowers and vegetables and chickens and other things that needed my attention. But I do try to show at least 2 weekends a month.
Oh, okay.
So I'm actually leaving Friday for a show in Massachusetts, in Greenfield, Massachusetts, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm traveling with another friend that shows her dogs. So again, community, it's always nice to be out there with your friends. Another big important part, cheering your friends on. It's not just about you. It's about seeing the bigger picture of doing this together. And then I have some shows later in the month. A big goal of ours is there's something called National Owner Handled Series through the AKC. And in the dog show world, you have professional handlers. There are people that do this for a living, very talented. And then you have people like myself, who I am the handler, and I handle my own dog. So I'm an owner handler, and I'm part of an owner handled series. And it's become quite a big deal in the AKC. And one of our goals is to stay in the top 10 in rankings so that we can be invited to a specialty show in Florida in December. So that is one of our goals for this year. And we've done really, really well. Last year we had closed out for Pointers number 6, and we were really proud of that. And we actually gained more momentum. And at one point we were number two,
Wow.
Lacey and I. I'm not sure where we are now, but I'm pretty sure we're still in the top 5. I wasn't able to show as much for a while my husband was sick, but now we're getting, back on track. So that's a big goal of ours. And of course, we're already looking forward to Westminster, which is in February of 2025. But, that's a big deal to go there, to compete there. So staying out there in the game, right, in the sport, and maintaining our way of doing things, we'll be doing that also. Yeah.
Okay, that's exciting. And where is Westminster? Where does that take place?
So they keep changing it around. But for the last few years, it's been at the Billie Jean Tennis Center in Queens. But now this year in February, they are going back to the Javits Center during the day and Madison Square Garden at night, because the home of Westminster always was the Garden. That was a big deal for it to take place in New York City at Madison Square Garden. And people associated Westminster with this event. And that all changed during COVID. and we couldn't use the city anymore. So this is the first year since COVID they're going back to Madison Square Garden. And it's going to be really exciting to go back to where it began. And where that energy, right? Again, about energy of Madison Square Garden and the dog show.
Yeah. And it's nice and convenient. It's not too far from home.
Yes, because I've traveled really far to go to shows. I mean,
yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, how can people reach you if they'd like to connect with you?
They can find me on Facebook. It's Susan London. And most of what I post on my page is public, and it's all about my dogs. And if you want to check it out and check out my dogs and see what we've been doing, or see our place and see our chickens and pigeons and just see our nature-filled, amazing animal life, they are welcome. Mostly I'm on Instagram. Also, I don't do a lot of Instagram, but you can find me there also.
Okay.
And I love people checking out our dogs and what we do.
Do you have an Instagram that you remember what it is?
It's Susan London 26.
Okay, perfect.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. The 26. Interesting.
That is birthday. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I figured.
December 26th.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
December 26th.
Thank you so much, Susan. I really learned a lot listening to you.
Oh, good. Thank you.
And what's even more important is, I feel your enthusiasm. I know people listening are going to really feel that. And especially if they have any interest at all in training dogs, showing dogs. And I think that you presented like a very unique and holistic perspective on it, which I appreciate.
So. Thank you, because that goes along with my passion for showing, because without those parts, it doesn't mean anything to me without those parts. It's really collective for me.
Yes, I could feel that. And just knowing, who you are, it just shines more through, who you are and what you do. And so thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about something that means so much to me.
You're welcome. It's been my pleasure. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to our show today. And I want to thank my guest, Susan London. I learned so much about what it takes to train dogs. And not only that, I love the holistic perspective that Susan uses. Her passion is obvious, but how she uses synchronicity, energy, and intention to partner with her dog, doing really a dance. Susan also shared some of her greatest gifts and things and lessons that she's learned by really having her relationship with her dogs. And also she shared the traumatic loss of her beloved dog, Madison, and the profound personal growth that she experienced. And also how much a supportive community provides friendship and a shared passion. And we all know that community, no matter what your passion is so important. So thank you so much, Susan. If you want to reach out to Susan, you can reach her on Facebook at Susan London and on Instagram at Susan London 26. So I just also wanted to remind the listeners that you can subscribe to my newsletter and receive a gift of a journal to really reflect on where you're at with your passion. I know that we change all the time in life or in different transitions and phases. So where are you right now with your passion? What do you want to focus your energy on in your life? So with that said, thanks again, Susan, and we'll see you next time.